Hello?
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, this is Shane from New York.
Hi, Shane.
Welcome, Shane.
Hi, everybody. Actually, I didn't hear what was just being talked about because I was dialing. But I just wanted to get into this issue a little bit about just this framing of the perception of both psychopaths and just pathological behavior. It seems like it's been going on for quite a long time, perhaps for even before psychopathy was being researched. But it's interesting when the issue was first being addressed by Koehli and some others in the early 40s. That there's the old book Rebel Without a Cause. That was a book that was written a couple years after Koehli wrote Mask of Sanity, and it's basically the description of trying to understand the psychopathic criminal. And that in turn, that very phrase, rebel without a cause, then that was made cool, via James Dean. And then you have this whole history of these James Bond characters and all sorts of these murderous heroes being idealized for decades. So it's interesting, I think, that it's only been very recent that it's been explicitly stated that it's the psychopath that is something to be aspired to. It's not just the behavior that's being twisted, but they've had to come right out and say that psychopathy is cool, pretty much. Prior to that, it was just the perception of the behavior that was being distorted into some ideal. But now that I think it's being made more clear, what this behavior is, it's being exposed. That they've had to kind of play this.
They've had to ramp up the propaganda. You mean?
Yeah, and play this pathetic card, of just saying, well, psychopaths are cool,
Absolutely, yeah. I think there is a process of trying to combat the truth that has been spread about psychopathy, in the world, and particularly on the internet and the stuff that we've published. That they've had to do something about that, and we just talked about that with these top or best-selling books, glorifying psychopaths. But also, I think there's a long process of ponerization of the spread of psychopathic ideals that may, it may be a real symptom, in the sense of it's not just propaganda. What we're seeing in the media and in movies and in social life, basically, these psychopathic aspects are actually real symptoms of a problem. You know what I mean? It's not just they're not just trying to convince us that we're all psychopaths. There are a lot more psychopaths, or at least more people who have been ponerized because of a long-term, infection, really, psychological infection.
It's completely insidious. I mean, on the one hand, it's something that's very subtle. On the other hand, they are trying to deal with the issue head on, and the message that's coming through is, hey, psychopaths, they're not so bad. They're funny, they're witty. Sometimes they're even useful to society. So,
yeah. All right, Shane, thanks for your call.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You guys are love your show. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
We're gonna go to another call here. Hello?
Hi, I hope you don't mind me calling again, but I wanted to respond to Laura's question. This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome back.
I've had a few experiences with people like that. I married two people that were like that. I thought they were very cool. They had a lot of charisma. I was completely snowed. One person I spent almost 10 years with, and another person I was with for the better part of 7 years. And the things that this person, well, both of them actually did, it's like psychological torture, and they change over time. They don't maintain their charm over time, and they end up changing you as well. They get you to do things that you normally wouldn't do over time, and you start acting and behaving like them. Cruel verbal abuse. I mean, it ends up alienating you from the good people in your life, people you love and care about, and changing very basic things about yourself. The person that I was married to for the total of 3 months, although I was with him for the better part of 7 years, and I really looked up to him and respected him because he's a pretty well-known writer, and we did a show together, and he ended up doing unspeakable things. This person I thought was so cool eventually tried to kill me, literally.
Whoa.
And this is something I didn't foresee in the beginning, but there were many, many signs along the way, and I was warned by others extensively, and had opportunities to leave, and I did leave 3 times. And 3 times, despite better judgment and the wisdom of people who could see clearly what was going on, I could not see. And it's amazing how something can be right in front of your face, and you just don't see it. Mm-hmm. You don't see it sometimes until you hit the very bottom, and there's no choice but to see it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there who are in these personal relationships with other people, and at first you think they're, the next best thing to pizza, and you actually start convincing yourself of this, despite these red flags along the way, how they treat other people, the little actions that they do in the course of a day. And it's good that you brought up the rage part of it, because once I started reading about psychopathy and being exposed, Laura introduced me to this whole subject. I think it was in 2005 or 2006. I started reading it, and I started reading about sadistic narcissists. I started seeing all these characteristics in the person I was living with. And I would try to talk to him about it. And his resistance to even talking about the information, he would become so angry. And I remember having Laura on my show. We did a show on this subject, the subject of evil and psychopaths. And he boycotted that show. He didn't want to be a part of that show at all. And it was the only one he wasn't a part of. And I thought that was pretty telling as well. And over time, this person broke me down to where I didn't even recognize myself. So I think it's really good that you're bringing this up. This is the first time I've spoken out really publicly, like on a radio show about this. And it could be someone that you look up to, someone that you admire, someone who has accomplished a lot of things and under the guise of doing good. And when I was with him, I thought that I was doing good, a lot of good, for a long time. And what it was doing was destroying me. This person tried to get me to self-erase, to kill myself. He kept trying, saying things to make me want to die. That's not somebody who is supportive and cares about you. But the public face was that he was very supportive of me. When people, would attack me for things I wrote, for example, attack me personally and as a woman and as a mother and a human being, he would publicly defend me. But what he was really doing was exploiting what was happening to me for his own personal gain. And I didn't see that at first. And then behind the scenes, he would attack me more viciously than the people who were coming after me publicly. It's very interesting how they change and how eventually you have to see who they are and what they are. And I guess it just all depends on the toll, how long it takes you to make that realization, and the toll it ends up taking on you. And it takes a very, very long time to heal from an experience like that. And that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think the part of the problem is the fact that it's so painful to come to the realization that somebody you looked up to and admired is not what you believed they were.
Yeah, I didn't want to believe it at all. And even when I convinced myself, a part of me knew better and was listening to the people around me that were trying to help me. I wanted to still believe that I could salvage this. I didn't want to be a quitter. I thought maybe I could change this person, or it was something I wasn't doing right. And they always make you believe that it's you and deflect off of their own actions and words. And their words and actions, they rarely, if ever, jive. And that's a really good thing to look out for, if their words and their actions don't jive. And so a person can act one way in front of one, publicly, and then they act completely different to you behind the scenes. And it's very traumatic.
It induces post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a horrible experience, and I think that what we're seeing is socially and culturally, on a wider sociocultural level, we're experiencing that because people do not want to see the fact that things that they have been conditioned from birth to believe are heroic or good or right or proper are not, in fact, what they've been told they were. I mean, it's like somebody losing their religion. They're raised in it. It's part of their enculturation. And then they wake up one day and realize, wait a minute, a whole lot of that isn't true, so it can't be the true word of God. And it's a shattering realization. So,
Laura, you mentioned too about how they have this apprehension about losing food, and that's such a good point to bring up because they really do feed off the good people around them. And for example, in my case, when we were doing this show, he would feed off of me. I would have to finish his sentences, and he would leave me unprepared for every show, wouldn't tell me what it was even going to be about. We couldn't discuss it until, boom, it was time to do the show. And then I had to somehow come up with, responses and talking points, and it was really anxious for me to do these shows, and I would be very nervous about them. And it was like he would deliberately put me on the spot every single show, and kind of took pleasure in it, watching me try to not think, and things like that, he couldn't even do the show after I left because there was no one to feed off of.
Do we have another call?
Yeah.
We got another caller coming in, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
And you have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lisa.